The Ortolans, small, blue, elephant-like beings, were far better known for their music than their combat skills. Their most famous cultural export was Max Rebo, whose cantina performances made the species synonymous with lighthearted entertainment throughout the galaxy. But hidden behind that cheerful reputation was another Ortolan, whose life took a very different path. His name was Nem, and he became one of the few Jedi Knights his people ever produced, an unlikely warrior shaped not by melodic talent, but by the quiet discipline of the Force. Late in the Clone Wars, Nem's serene homeworld, Orto, was targeted for invasion by the Separatists. Rumors circulated of a local traitor offering them insider access to the planet's defenses, and the Jedi Council dispatched Nem to investigate. Given his species' reputation for harmlessness, the Council believed he could slip into enemy-occupied territory without attracting suspicion. To do so, he assumed the identity of a recently deceased Ortolan collaborator, taking on a role that required deceptive precision, a task few Jedi were ever trained for. Within just a few days, the Separatists fully occupied Orto. Civilians were monitored, dissent crushed, and puppet officials installed to enforce their new regime. Trapped behind enemy lines, Nem had a choice: attempt escape and return to the Republic, or remain embedded and act alone. He chose the shadows. Using false credentials, he blended into the Separatist administrative network, gradually sabotaging infrastructure, redirecting supply caches, and quietly leaking intelligence to Republic forces preparing a counteroffensive. Though physically small, Nem's strategic impact was enormous. Every power outage he engineered, every shipment he redirected, and every intercepted message created fractures in the occupation's command chain. Several Separatist officers later reported that Orto felt haunted, as if an unseen phantom was constantly one step ahead of them. That ghost was Nem, working tirelessly while maintaining the fragile disguise that kept him alive. When Republic forces finally launched their liberation campaign, much of the groundwork had already been laid by Nem's covert sabotage. The assault unfolded with remarkable efficiency, allowing troops to reclaim cities in record time. For many Ortolans, it was the first time they realized one of their own had silently shaped the fate of their world. But as victory neared, tragedy struck. During the final phase of the operation, the unthinkable occurred. Order 66 was issued. Clone Commander Divas, who had once trusted Nem as an ally and admired his courage, received the directive and acted without hesitation. The command was absolute. Without warning, the troops who once depended on Nem turned their weapons on him. Outnumbered and caught between clones and Separatist remnants, Nem was killed in the line of duty. His identity as a Jedi never revealed to the people he had fought to save. History remembers him faintly, little more than a footnote buried in war records, but his courage ensured his people's survival. Nem proved that even the galaxy's most unassuming Jedi could reshape the destiny of an entire world, fighting not through spectacle or strength, but through patience, secrecy, and sacrifice. Kaminoans are best known as the architects of the Grand Army of the Republic, clinical, detached, and famously resistant to emotional expression. Their society prized efficiency, specialization, and genetic perfection above all else. That's why Kinaha, a Kaminoan who not only left her world, but became a Jedi, stands out so dramatically in their history. Kinaha wasn't born naturally. She was genetically engineered as part of a long-range exploration initiative designed for deep space reconnaissance. Her body was altered to endure decades of hyperspace travel, survive exposure to cosmic radiation, and operate without constant medical oversight. But when the program collapsed due to catastrophic failures, Kinaha became an outcast, an unwanted reminder of wasted resources. Her people labeled her a failed experiment and removed her from Kaminoan society entirely. Wandering the galaxy, she slowly grew aware of a strange internal sense, visions, instincts, and perceptions she couldn't explain. Her Force sensitivity was dismissed by her species as a genetic error, something they would have corrected had she remained on Kamino, but Kinaha feared that returning would lead to forced rehabilitation. So she ran, drifting across star systems until fate intervened. A Trojan Jedi named Crush discovered her on a remote outpost and recognized the potential she carried. Under his guidance, she learned not only to control her abilities, but to understand herself beyond the limitations her creators had imposed. Crush eventually acknowledged her as a Jedi Master, and Kinaha went on to witness generations of galactic upheaval. She lived through the Mandalorian Wars, the fall and rebirth of the Jedi Order, the Jedi Civil War, and finally the Clone Wars, all while accumulating more than 3,000 years of memories. Shortly before the Clone Wars erupted, Kinaha experienced a disturbing Force vision. Dark warriors rising from Kamino, shaped by artificial hands. Compelled to investigate, she returned home after centuries away, unaware that the vision foreshadowed the clone army and its grim destiny. Though she sensed something was deeply wrong, she couldn't decode the vision fully, and events moved too quickly for her to intervene. Because she operated outside the Jedi Temple and had long severed ties to official records, Kinaha survived Order 66 unnoticed. But surviving was not the same as escaping. She carried the burden of knowing that her people's creation, those dark soldiers, would one day destroy the Jedi she had fought beside for millennia. Kinaha retreated into exile, living as a silent witness to a tragedy she had once glimpsed but could not prevent. Haunted by her past and unwelcome among her own species, she remained a solitary wanderer, observing the galaxy that had changed beyond recognition. Zexto were famous for lightning-fast reflexes and pod-racing prowess, not Jedi discipline. But Oyab 65 from Trokan broke that mold completely. Discovered as Force-sensitive early in his childhood, he was brought into the Order and trained under Jedi Master Zyuk Mayoi. His natural speed blended surprisingly well with Jedi training, though it took years of meditation to calm the jittery, multi-limbed movements typical of his species. Oyab 65 rose to the rank of Jedi Knight and earned a reputation for balanced judgment. During the Clone Wars, he led Republic forces across several hard-fought battlefronts, earning the trust of clone battalions who admired both his strategic mind and his refusal to abandon civilians caught in the crossfire. Later, he trained a Bothan Padawan named Yan, passing on the patience he had needed to master himself. His story ended at the Jedi Temple during Order 66, overwhelmed alongside many knights whose names were lost to time. Even so, Oyab 65 remains one of the Order's most unlikely success stories, a reminder that greatness can come from the species least expected. Nikata Delgormo was a Hysian, serpentine, four-limbed, and profoundly attuned to ancient Force traditions. Legends describe him as a hermit living on a fog-choked swamp world, withdrawn from civilization to study primordial aspects of the Force. According to the most persistent tale, two travelers crash-landed near his dwelling, a young wanderer named Yoda and his human companion. Recognizing their potential immediately, Delgormo trained them in core Force disciplines and early lightsaber techniques. Some accounts claim he guided Yoda through riddles, metaphors, and physically demanding trials that shaped the future Grandmaster's mindset. When a Republic ship arrived responding to a distress signal, Yoda left to pursue formal Jedi training, possibly carrying Delgormo's early lessons with him. Whether this story is myth, exaggeration, or a hidden fragment of truth remains one of the great mysteries of Jedi lore. If real, Delgormo may have quietly shaped one of the greatest figures in galactic history. Ugores were amorphous beings requiring containment suits to function among other species. Their unusual biology made them remarkably resilient, even capable, according to rumor, of splitting into two living copies when severed. Orbalin became the first Ugore to join the Jedi Order and rose to the rank of Master during the High Republic era. As the Archivist aboard Starlight Beacon, he treated knowledge as sacred. He memorized shelves of information, delighted in impromptu lectures, and often overwhelmed colleagues with obscure historical trivia. His unusual ability to divide into multiple independent bodies allowed him to multitask like no other Jedi, though the copies shared no memories, creating confusion and psychological strain. Over time, physical injuries and mental fragmentation took a severe toll. One of his copies was shot, and the trauma rippled through his psyche. Yet Orbalin refused reassignment, insisting that the archives needed him. His devotion transformed him into a tragic but inspiring figure, a scholar literally divided by duty, guarding the legacy of the Jedi even as it slowly consumed him. Not a Jedi, yet infamous in the strangest corners of the galaxy, is the figure known through rumor and fringe theory as Darth Jar Jar. On the surface, he appeared to be nothing more than a clumsy, bumbling Gungan from Naboo, often tripping over his own feet or acting foolishly in critical situations. But conspiracy theorists argue that this was all an elaborate facade, a carefully crafted persona designed to lower defenses and mask a far more cunning intelligence. Every slip, every awkward gesture, every moment of apparent incompetence could have been calculated to disarm allies and distract enemies, making him appear harmless while he observed, manipulated, and subtly nudged events toward a grander design. Proponents of the theory point to key moments in galactic history where Jar Jar's actions had disproportionate influence. His political maneuvering in the Galactic Senate, the passing of emergency powers to Palpatine, and improbable survival through dangerous encounters. Some theorists even argue that certain reflexes and physical movements he displayed hint at a hidden Force sensitivity, allowing him to manipulate events without revealing his true capabilities. In this version of events, the foolish Gungan was not foolish at all, but a master manipulator pulling strings behind the scenes. Skeptics, of course, dismiss these claims as fan speculation gone too far, pointing out that coincidences do not equal conspiracy, and that many of Jar Jar's actions could be explained by narrative convenience. Yet the fascination persists. The idea that someone so seemingly harmless could have orchestrated significant galactic events feeds into a larger mythos of hidden puppet masters and secret manipulations that lurk beneath the surface of recorded history. What makes Darth Jar Jar so compelling isn't whether the stories are true or not, it's that they transform a minor, comic relief character into a symbol of unseen influence and shadowed power. The theory invites viewers to question everything they see, to imagine that even the most innocuous figures might hide monumental secrets. Whether playful speculation, fan obsession, or a hidden truth lost to history, history, Darth Jar Jar remains one of the galaxy's most enigmatic and enduring legends. A reminder that in the Star Wars universe, the line between folly and genius is often impossibly thin. From unassuming heroes like Nem, who fought unseen to save his world, to ancient Jedi like Kinaha, who witnessed the galaxy's rise and fall, these stories reveal that heroism and sacrifice come in many forms. Even figures shrouded in mystery, whether Orbalin, Oyab 65, or the legendary Darth Jar Jar, show that the Force touches beings of every shape, size, and background. Their lives, whether recorded in history or whispered in rumor, remind us that the galaxy is shaped not just by the famous, but by those who act in the shadows, the overlooked, and the extraordinary. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out more related content shown on screen.